And live. Hopefully the music's at a good volume. I think I'll turn it down just a little bit, though. Alright, let's see if this thing has wings. Okay. Bank autopilot set to 0 degrees. Reset pitch to 8 degrees. SAS locked. Throttles to full. Ignite. Drone 1 is on the roll. $70 meters a second. Rotate. It still doesn't want to rotate. Oh, don't tell me. Alright, those were bad ideas. Revert to spaceplane hangar. So, a note on fairings in Kerbal. Kerbal is really particular about fairings and clipping them into things. Long story short, anything inside a fairing gets treated as... Clipping inside a fairing gets treated as being inside a fairing and having no effect. So this surface here is doing that, which is a shame. Because it means I'm going to have to pretty much cheat a bit here. Get these to look good. So let's get these adapters. This will go here. I'll sink it in like that. Oh, hold on. Structure top node. I'll need a nose cone adapter for the other end. And that should be aerodynamic. Yes. There we go. And that can move up a little bit there. So yeah, that should be aerodynamic and not interfere with that. And the action groups... Okay, the reactors are still going to be started on that. And you're typing a really long message, or you've got the bug. So I'm going to do this launch, and then when I get to the point where I have to start the ion engines, I'm going to run downstairs and pop dinner into water. Yeah, I kind of figured it was a bug. No worries. So, bank hold is active, pitch is set, locked SAS, and ignition. Drone 1 is on the roll again. The wheels need adjusting, it's pulling a little bit to one direction. And rotate. Pitch lock on. Let's go to 12 degrees for the initial climb out. Oh, that's going to be a problem. No wonder it's pulling a little bit to one side. It's not the wheels that are off. It's the reactor that's only on one side of the craft. Oh, I just saw something in EJ's chat here. For a moment I thought they were talking about the space shuttle, because it's all true for the space shuttle as well. They were talking about Mustang. They said, yes, it has independent rear suspension with sporting characteristics, 500 plus horsepower engine, efficient brakes. It counts as a sports car. And when I read that, I thought they were talking about the space shuttle. Which, you know, it's true. It has independent rear suspension with sporting characteristics. A 500 horsepower engine. Alright. There we go. Still pulling a little bit to one side, but that can be solved later on down the line. Pitched 12 degrees. The reason I've done all this complicated thing is basically how Kerbal handles drag on parts. This shouldn't cause too much drag. I mean, it's still going to cause drag because these are radially mounted, and Kerbal hates that. And right now, it's actually the biggest source of drag on the craft are these two things here, but hopefully you can just power through it. See, all this drag here in the middle, that's this part of the craft here. By comparison, this... it might actually not go transonic, in fact. Yeah, it's not going to go transonic. Well, damn. That's annoying. Let's see if I can get it to kick in now. If I drop the nose some... No. Yeah, these are just putting a ridiculous amount of drag on the craft. If I chop them off, it'll disappear. Like, rather than these nukes here, I'll just take this off here. Take this... No. I want the nuke. Oh, what the heck, I'll just get another nuke out. If I put an actual nose cone on these... hopefully that'll solve it. If not, I'm really out of luck. I should be able to stuff the nukes in the service bay. It'll be a bit of a squeeze, but... yeah. Those. I don't know what I'm going to do for radiators for them yet. I'll get to that problem when I get there. Save. Launch. Let's see what the drag looks like now. Oh, somebody dared diss the Falcon 9's launch record in EJ's chat. The poor bugger. Bugger. Alright, I'll just test this to get to transonic, and then I really have to pause because the water's probably boiling. No, I must know if it works, because then while I'm down there dealing with all this, I can think about how to fix it. Because if this doesn't work, I'm going to need to have a very long think. Let's see how bad the drag gets this time. So far it's less than the main body, but as speed picks up, that's going to change. Okay, much less now, it seems. Moment of truth. No. Those side pods are just causing way too much drag. I've got to find some way that I can mount them without... without causing drag. Right. I'll be back. I'll have a think about this. Right, I'm back. So, if I strip these things off here, the mass is negligible. The mass is like 1 ton, if that. It's actually what? Okay, it's 1 ton of mass. So let me just go and grab something that's 1 ton here. Actually, that's a lot of mass now that I think about it. Oh, damn it. Let's see, what are the engines? The engines are probably... Okay, so 4 engines would be 0.6. Yeah, it's the engines weighing... Well, I don't know. The old version worked where it had a triple adapter here at the back and it had them in the middle. But when I put them on the sides, it doesn't seem to like it. So I'm just trying to see if I can't find some way... I mean, these don't weigh anything. But they just create too much drag. And the adapter doesn't weigh anything either. So it's not that. And try putting these on a pylon and see if it helps, though I doubt it. So let's try this, see if it gets any better performance, though I doubt it. Just check the center mass and center lift are still... that's close enough. I don't want to mess with the wings, because if I have to revert to the old model, I'm going to have to mess with them anyhow, so... just leave it as is. Actually, I could probably... No. I'll just pull these back as far as I'll go. Launch. We're humans! Of course we have sex on the brain. Ah, shit, I forgot the juice downstairs. Well, I'll go back for that in a second. Let's just see if this gets transonic, and if not, I'll go back downstairs. Ah. Oh, that's not good. Shut down. Shut down. Shut down. Shut down. Shut down. Oh, and I didn't put them on the other side. Great. Just as well, we can see what the difference is in drag. Which this should actually generate more drag now that I think about it, but we'll see. Bank hold. Give it 10 degrees, nose up. Yeah, look at that. And just to prove that it's these side pylons doing it. This is one of the reasons I love building space planes and why I hate it at the same time, is that there's sort of like hard mode. There's a lot more to get right with them, even considering the stock game's aerodynamics and everything, than a rocket. So this is what makes it enjoyable making these things. Whoa, 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 whoa. That wasn't good. I was trying to be cheeky there and retract the landing gear while it was still hovering. And the problem is the landing gear caught on the ground for a second, dragged the wing down, and smashed the rest of the plane. And subjected the whole thing to so much G-force that things just broke on their own. I'll show you what I was trying to do this time properly. Is this. Sorry about that. I can change to something less techno-y if you want. But yeah, now look what a difference just stripping those things off the side made. Now it goes supersonic. And at this point, the thrust is just running away with itself. It's part of the reason why those bigger planes I have with the sort of like outrigger pods need more engines for the same amount of mass. It's just because they're not as aerodynamically clean. And it's a trade-off because I want to have more functionality out of the craft. Now I'm just going to flatten this out to try to see if I can't... What's the highest speed I can get here without killing the damned thing? Because it's still climbing at a ridiculous rate. I'm just trying to preserve as much of the thrust as I can get. And now go to 12. This probably actually botched it some by doing that, but we'll see. Much slower than this. But you're going to have to clarify that. What do you mean by plane? And I'll be right back. I'm going to get the juice. So, what are you calling a plane? That's the key question here. Yeah, it's I was going to say, what do you consider an aircraft? Because it gets rather cheaty. Because technically, the space shuttle was an aircraft. It flew. And for Brick, to paraphrase Halo 2, it flew pretty good. And that managed Mach 27 plus, albeit without power of its own at the time. For Kerbal, it's over the top. For Earth, no. Mach 27 is orbital velocity. But 300 kilometers an hour, for the record, we were doing faster than 300 kilometers an hour there. Sorry, 3,000 kilometers an hour there, because these are meters a second. We were going 1.5 kilometers a second. Not an hour, a second. So now I have to rebuild this damned thing again, which is moderately annoying, but not the end of the world. Engines. All right. Well, fair enough. I shall call out the speed for you then when we get to it. But I thought when you first said 3,000, you were saying 3,000 meters a second, which I was like, that's past orbital velocity. If we get 3,000 meters a second, we did something good. That'll get us to the Mun with at launch. Center of mass, center of lift. Okay, this is good enough to launch and play around with. Because I'm still having problems with this, really just the case that I don't have enough rocket fuel. Please stand by as Kerbal reloads. So, I managed to finish my dinner in that loading screen. Alright. Let's try this again. Sorry for the cough. Okay, let's make sure these only ignite now. Let's try getting this thing to space again. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way of 10 degrees pitch up. Dramatic music dramatifies. And here we go. Runaway thrust has been achieved. Oh, this is perfect launch music. And rocket engine switch over to closed cycle mode. Switching to prograde hold. Okay, there we go. That's orbital. Now... I think I'm going to switch out the service tank for fuel, short rocket fuel fuselage. I'm going to strip these off and these, which should make it slightly more aerodynamic. I'm going to put 2 of these reactors in. No, I don't want that. I'll just take these panels and I'll put one in the middle like that. That should cool both of them. Those. Alright. Center mass, center of lift will need to be recalibrated. If you're curious, this wing design is actually very purposeful. It's what's called a cranked delta wing. In other words, it's not a pure delta, but rather it starts out at one angle and it steadily gets wider. Alright, there we go. And I could actually put a little bit more wing to it, to be honest, but... more wing is more weight, more drag, and I don't really care about low speed performance. And the greatest pitch. Let's go to space. Okay, we're at 1.1 kilometers a second, Mach 4. 1.2 kilometers a second, Mach 4.2. 1.3 kilometers a second, Mach 4.45. 1.4 kilometers a second, Mach 4.75. And prepare for transition. We've run out of intake air. And we have transition. Closed cycle operation has begun. Switching to prograde hold mode. Deactivating atmospheric autopilot systems. And engine shutdown. Safing the Saber engine systems and preparing to activate ion drive. Ion drive ignition in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Energize. Ion drive is now active. Throttling back to sustainer. You know what's really cool about this supply drone, by the way, Nat? It totally can go out to Minmus and back. So I can use this to resupply all of my space stations. I know you can't see the text, so I'll read it out for you, but the Delta V of these engines, which are running on the xenon fuel inside the service bay, and the xenon fuel tank that I have hidden back here. Between these two, which barely weigh a quarter of this tank here, they have 1,645 meters a second of fuel. This thing has a ridiculous amount of energy in it. The catch is, it's very slow. To get that full 1,645 meters a second with it, you would have to burn for an hour. And in fact, this 51 meter a second burn that we're going to do to circularize the orbit, that's going to take 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So they're crazy efficient, but they're crazy low thrust. And we'll open this so the radiator can radiate. The reactor cores are doing nice. They're not going to overheat anytime soon. So if I wanted to get this out to Minmus, even though I can get it out to Minmus, I probably wouldn't. But if I wanted to, I'd basically have to do about 3 burns every time, raising my periaps a little bit more each time around. And so it would take a little bit of advanced planning, because I'd have to know how long it'd take me to go around every time. Which is predictable. You can work it out, you can do a bit of math with it and a few test runs, and you can totally work out a way to do it. It's just more effort than is reasonable. And energizing the ions again. And this is what I love about ions, they are just so pretty. They make a spaceship look like a spaceship should look like. But yeah, our current thrust to weight ratio is 0.06. I can unlock better ion engines though, so eventually it won't be such a pain, but these are the very basic ones I have for now, so they'll just have to do. They're still insanely useful, as you can see. Because it means that I can put this up with more useful cargo and do more crazy maneuvers to get the cargo to places. And I could probably cut down the amount of xenon fuel, which would cut down on some of the weight. Because I probably don't need that 5,000 tank of xenon in here. So I'll put monoprop or something in there for docking. Though this thing doesn't really need to dock either. I'm just going to bring it up to the station, release the cargo, and have the station's work bee grab it. Oh, did not mean to do that. Let's finish getting the orbit to where it should be. Alright. Now, let's kill that. Set Echo Point as a target. No, not this orbit. Target ascending node. No, wrong way. There we go. I gotta say, that thing looks like a space plane. I just realized I'm doing the burn at the wrong time, so this is going to be ridiculously bad. Five, four, three, two, one. Yeah, I just put a new node in. Oh well. There you go. Lasers are boring. I wonder if this will affect reactor cooling if I close it. One of the ideas using ion engines is to actually remove space junk, because they're so efficient. They could latch onto a piece of space junk, deorbit it, release, and then boost themselves back into a decent orbit, and doing this over and over again. Oh, I finally figured out how to lock those, and it's so nice that I now know how to. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is not being able to see that info. Turns out they fixed it a few patches back, and I didn't know. And warp here. Yeah, it doesn't affect the reactors, so I can actually keep that closed, which is nice. Makes this thing look more streamlined. and ignition, I guess. Energize. It's not a burn. The reason I wanted to put 8 on here is I would have doubled the thrust and consequently taken it to the point where burns would be manageable. Like, I could actually do burns out to moon or whatever. But that'll have to wait till I get more powerful ion engines. That or more powerful saber engines. I've got to say, this thing's pretty much a success. It's carrying a full cargo hold full of supplies up to 200-kilometer orbit, and it's going to get back down again, and it's not absolutely gigantic. So, as far as spaceplane builds go, this is one of my better ones. Oh, hello, Squiddy. Uh, okay, let's see where we're at now. Okay, let's go backwards a bit. There we go. Now, we are going to arrive here with 70 meters a second, which means we need to do this for burn somewhere along the line. Alright. Because this is going to be a long burn to slow down, so I'm really planning it ahead a lot more than I usually would. And Squids is asking about Interstellar. You didn't miss much, I'll say that much. Well, she apparently saw it on a plane ride the other day with very little sleep, and her general opinion is it could have been an hour shorter. So this is where things don't make sense. Usually you see me burning towards the target, slowing down. Here, because it's such a long burn, I'm actually burning away from the target. So I've accelerated in front of it, and now I'm going to slow myself down relative to it by speeding up. Fun, is this? Well, the thing is, we're not reversing, we're actually going forwards. Normally we do the reverse and burn business, but we're not doing that. We're actually going forwards here, and so you're going to see this thing wobble about as things happen. If I planned this right. If I planned this wrong, then it's going to go horribly wrong, but we'll see. Actually, it's going horribly wrong. Okay, burning towards the target, negative. I thought it was going to work, but no. It's not putting us in an identical orbit, it's actually putting us in a redonkulously higher orbit than the target. My bad. So, yeah, this will be a little bit of a problem, but nothing that can't be solved. Because we have enough fuel for days. We could literally just do a turn and burn right here. Point at the target, fire, forget. Point at target. So we're now basically doing an expanse here. Because now we've done the burning halfway there, so we're now going to flip around. And burn just the same amount of time going the other way. And this is ridiculously inefficient. You would never do this with rocket engines. But with ion engines, because their thrust is so low and so plentiful, it's not only feasible to do, it's advisable to do. Welcome back. Halfway through the turn and burn. I burned towards the station halfway, and now we're burning away from the station for the other half. And I'm just arcing the engines one way or another to keep us on course. Which will probably smash us straight into the station in fairness, but, you know, details. It should probably drop the wings a little bit. Overshot by a little bit, but that's not bad at all. Yeah, we're gonna stop about 300 meters away from it. And then I'll let it approach at 1 meter a second. So as not to smush into anything. And I'll flip around so I can slow it down again when need be. I just want to get close enough so it's easier for me to get the work bee out. Open payload bay. Should really put lights on these containers so they're easier to find. Pay no mind to the lights. Kerbal is a bit buggy with its lights. There we go. 0 meters a second. Oh yeah. There's a second one I need to decouple, which is this one. Okay, that's got the work bee out. Decouple the node for that. Let that float out some. Set as target. Control from here. Find control. I will need it. What the? Oh, fuck no. Let me hope. Oh, you know what? I can't be bothered to fiddle around with that. I'll just turn on infinite fuel. I really, really, really do not like how the new fuel code works, because it takes propellant from tanks that never used to draw propellant a few patches back in Kerbal. And that becomes really annoying when you're trying to make sure that something that you have on a space station always has fuel. And this thing should. It has a massive fuel tank and it barely uses any fuel doing these little puffs. So that just grinds my gears. Now, I'd like to bring back the old cargo can, but that's going to be a bit of a challenge. It can be done, but I'm going to have to get really creative with how I throw it into the cargo bay so it latches. Because I don't actually have a tug that just has a mini port on top of it, which is why I have that miniature port on top of cargo cans. It's the one thing I hadn't designed yet. Oh, small correction. Ah, I bonked it. Perfect. We've got a good solid latch on both ports. Excellent. The reason I have this thing with this extra one here is just to make sure that this always latches on in such a way that it's straight relative to this. And it's for no other reason than I might want to put thrusters on this that are also in line or other things. It's completely redundant, really, because of the new auto strut system, but it's just a little bit more robust than otherwise would be. So now we can undock that cargo can from there. And we can plug this one into its place. Set as target. And control from here. I mean, part of this design, it also keeps this from wobbling around, which makes it much easier to dock. Because if the port wobbles, then this wobbles, and it makes it harder to keep it stable, because the SAS will try to counteract the wobble and bad things. Okay. Clunk. So now Echo Point has supplies, though Lisley and Keeman, they've run out of habitat space, but I might be able to get that sorted some way by transferring them to different module. But everybody here needs to be rotated off. I just don't have any crew to come back up here at the moment. So the other crew's on the men. So I need to hire some more. Undock that. Oh wow, it undocks both at the same time. That's nice.
Let's rock.
Oh, don't get caught. There we go. Now let's set as target. This one's going to be the fun one, because I'm going to have to wedge this into the cargo hold of the drone somehow, get it to nearly latch, and then decouple. So it propels itself into the cargo hold, and the magnets grab it. Yeah, easy. No sweat. What could possibly go wrong? clunk. I do like that. It makes a nice solid connection with every crate. It doesn't wobble about, it just grabs both and just slams home. It's very nice. Control from here. Let's just fly forwards a bit.
Clear.
Okay. Control from here. Oh, no wonder. It's trying to target the inline Clampatron, not the one I want.
Why?
Like, why isn't it moving the way I want it to move? This display only really works if you have it lined up with the docking port. Otherwise, it just makes total garbage. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. So this is a bit where the tool really isn't much help anymore. Now I just have to do this by eye. Fun. So I'm going to get myself completely stationary above here. I'm going to point the nose down. Going to thrust forward a bit. And down. No, that's not going to work. I need to be a little bit lower. Not too low that I bonk it. That went horribly wrong. Okay, let's reset and try again. I think I'm going to do it from this port here. And if this is tedious, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh. Clunk. Set as control from here. Set as target. Okay, undock. Clunk. Yes! Got it in. Oh, that feels so good. Yeah, and you can make the sexual reference whenever you want to. Not Rodoc. That one. Go from here. So the drone's ready to go back down. This can be docked back to the station. I still need to get a crew up. Well, get the crew down, but that's another matter entirely. Ooh. Oh, and I need to check on the moon base, because if the moon base is working properly, then I can just leave it be. If it's not, then I'm just going to have to bring them up now and forgo getting science out of that science lab, which sucks. But not much I can do about that. Alright, there we go. And I'll turn off the cheat now. The reason why I'm perfectly fine with cheating is here's all the monopropellant. It's just not in this tank for some reason. Well, I could have cheated, or I could have just gone and hit the quick save button, the quick load button, and loaded back to where I was before I undocked when this monopropellant should have been where it should have been. And if you think, well, that's still cheating, whatever, you now don't have any tanks and that, whatnot, there's still this tank here. There's so much monopropellant on this thing. And I'm just going to top up this tank here because if I don't, it'll be unbalanced. And that's just a recipe for problems later on down the line. This thing needs a new heat shield, but it's otherwise in good nick. Okay. F5 for great safety. I suppose we're just going to have to bite the bullet and deorbit around about here. Horizon. I have no idea how this thing will fly, so I'll go with the shallow re-entry. 21 degrees, I think, should be good enough. And target, set KSC. Display trajectory. And there we go. Now we're starting to get something. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's a little bit too much. And only 2 Gs. I'll be nice and comfy. Alrighty. Mode switched to air breathing on the engines. Three minutes to energize, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and energize. Now using orbital velocity calculations. Nuclear reactors are stable. And in theory, I could use the rocket engines for this. I do have enough oxidizer left to make this little burn. But, again, why waste of rocket fuel when xenon gas will do? I don't know what's gone horribly wrong with that, but I'm getting rid of it. So it doesn't seem to be calculating accurately anymore. So I'm just going to keep burning until I see the red X go over the green X. It should be in the next 30 seconds or so. There we go. Oh wait, no, that's once around. Never mind. That would actually be a skip re-entry. Which, while cool, isn't what I want. It'd basically bounce off the atmosphere here, swing us into a lower orbit, and then we'd come back around and hit it again. I swear that's an anime girl gasp mixed into this track somewhere. Turning to prograde and shutting down the ion drive system. Shutting down one nuclear reactor. Second nuclear reactor will be kept online to provide electrical power during descent. nose is feeling a little light, so I'm pumping fuel forward in an effort to stabilize the craft some. There's a really cool maneuver that you could do in Orbiter, which I don't know if you can do in KSP, at least I've never tried it before. But an aeroplane change, where you'd actually take a craft like this that has a lifting surface on it, a wing, and you'd fly it out to like Mars, and you'd slingshot through Mars's atmosphere using your wing to adjust the inclination of your orbit. And yeah, the nose is really light on this thing, which I don't have a problem with, because I want the nose to be light. I want it to pitch up like this. It's just right now, if you see this little indicator, you probably can't see the arrow here, but if this arrow gets to the maximum here, then that means I've completely lost control. No worries. Don't worry about it. I'm just mostly running a commentary here. If you catch it, you do. If not, you'll catch it the next 50 times I do this when I give the same commentary. So it's all okay. Why would I want to look at the Civilization Reddit? I thought those awards were over. Okay. Apparently, I don't have control anymore over the drone. We no get signal. I'm guessing the mountains are blocking it. Yeah. So this is the good news is that it's holding stable in this attitude, which I did not expect it to do. The bad news is the plane's about to stall. But it looks like we're going to have a runway 09 approach, which is just fine. So, load store the, sorry, ILS 27 approach. Nav, roll set. Glide soap. Active. Target speed will be 250 meters a second for the auto throttle. Approach speeds 200. Let's call that 150, and I'm guessing 80 for final speed. Let's just switch to camel. And opened the intakes. Engines are online. Trajectories can be deactivated. Unset the target. This probably isn't going to make it, actually. We shall see. Oh, that would help if I set it to land mode. It may just make it. It's gonna be close. Ears down. This will be a bit hairy for a landing, but Let's see if it can manage to do a dead stick. It's going to run out of fuel about 2 kilometers away from the runway. And at that point, it becomes a really uncontrollable glider. Oh no, it'll actually make it. Well, the fuel just gave out there, which is fine because it just needs to come down now. Flare, brake. Well, that couldn't have been more perfect. Damn, that's good. There we go. Now, let me see if I've got a cruise shuttle anywhere that I can convert to drone control. Yep, and I recovered pretty much the full cost of launching the damn thing. Let's see, the auto-saved ship was 98,000. I got 88,000 back and change. So the total cost of the fuel was about 10,000. That's cheaper than any rocket I have that can launch that payload to low Kerbin orbit. That's astonishingly good. I'll call this the 1C, just so I don't load up the wrong one. Orbit cruiser. What's this one? Oh, this is the one using these awful things. Thing is, it actually works, so I really shouldn't complain. But I'm curious, can I make it better? So these are the winglet types A. This has a mass of 0.67 tons and a relative wing area of 3.72. In contrast, this is a relative wing area of 2 and a mass of 0.2 tons. So yes, I could. I could make it better. I would have to reset all of these RCS ports. Do I even have a pilot? No, I don't have a pilot. Let me see if I can't hire a pilot. Because if I can hire a pilot, then I'll just fly the damn thing instead of disturb it. Quartermaster, medic, colonist, pilot. Yay, we got a pilot. That cost us some money, but seriously, I need more pilots. I think I only have Valentina and Sarah as pilots. So, orbit cruiser, MK5X. Oh, I need many more. I need many, many more. It's just I can't afford to hire them at the moment. And to be honest, I don't want to hire them until I have the improved hiring strategy up, where I can at least get them at like level 1 or level 2. Even though it will cost me 4 times more to buy each one of them, but levels. Because it'll cost me just as much to send them out to Minimus. Or I could do a space camp. I could hold another space camp. Lights on. For some reason, this particular track reminds me of Rainbow Road from Mario Kart. Or is it just me? Hold on. Oh yeah, okay. What's in here? Okay, that's a Clampatron. For a moment I was like, oh, wait, what? I've got to remember when this gets to orbit, I've got to thrust limit down the engines. Because otherwise the control system can't manage to counter the torque. See, for some reason, this assembly here doesn't create nearly as much drag as that other one that I had. Either that or these wings just create silly amounts of drag, which is entirely possible. And God, it's getting cold here tonight. Ugh. And to be honest, getting back to the subject of Civ 5, it's not a real war until Gandhi has fired a nuke. Just saying. Here's the interesting thing. This craft has the same thrust as the other one. It's about 10 tons heavier, but it has the same thrust to weight ratio, and yet it can't get the same speed. It just capped out. It just makes up for it by having a huge fuel tank. This thing probably needs an ion conversion as well at some point. But I'll probably wait for the more powerful ion engines and then retool it. Give it a new wing design. That tail just looks ugly, I'm sorry. And shut down. Setting thrust limiters to 10% thrust. Which on a real rocket engine you could never limit the thrust this low. I think the lowest they go on real ones is about 30%. And thankfully we launched ahead of the station. But we're probably going to have to do 2 orbits, I'm guessing. The navigation lights on the plane are pulsing in time to the rave music. Shit. Don't mind that. That was just me borking up the burn time. And yeah, even at 10%, this thing's still fighting me. So I think I'm going to redesign the wing and make sure that these are in line with the center of mass, which they aren't currently. Descending node will be normal, so I turn north and get rid of this so I can see. So there. And then add one over here. There we go. Wee little correction. Actually, no. I don't want to do it that way around. I want to do this. This. There. I don't usually do this sort of burn, but what this burn's attempting to do is line up the periapps, my apoapps, with the target's apoapps, which means that when we come into position, it'll be with the least closing speed possible.
Let's rock.
And this is slightly unfortunate. I'm actually in the atmosphere. Which isn't ideal for this, but can make it work. I'm so narrowly in the atmosphere that it's actually not making much of a difference. And just like that, I'm out of the atmosphere.
Clear.
Yeah, only 40 meters a second intercept speed. Unfortunately, I need to do something about my periaps first. Because that's redonkulously low and unsafe.
Why?
We were at 58 kilometers, the atmosphere starts at 70. There we go. Better. And that actually fixed it, so the next time that I do the maneuver, we get our intercept. A little bit faster than before, but hey. Pickers cannot be choosers. There we go. 0.5. And now we can warp to here. Look on the bright side, by the way, hun. I know that you're running on fumes. I get to stay up for at least the next 6 hours. Because I have to go... Those people I took into town yesterday, they want me to go pick them up today. Maybe. Not sure. They will phone me, apparently. Yeah, so basically, once I get done streaming, I'm going to take a nap ish, but I'm pretty much on call. But hey, they're paying me $50, so I can't complain. And with luck, they'll turn into repeat customers, which is what I'm desperate for. So I don't have many of those. So usually I take people to the airport and they never come back to the country. Nah, it's not exactly true. It's just the case of when I'm doing airport runs, it's usually people that aren't coming back for a couple of months or whatever. But these folks needed to go into town to visit the hospital. And they said that maybe I could pick them up because they don't like having to wait for an ambulance. Because sometimes they want you to take an ambulance after the operation. They're like, fuck that. Why not get you to do it? So if they're often going into the hospital, they might call on me another time, which would be nice. I think I'm going to dock this to the bottom node. So okay, switching, opening of the docking port. Control from here. Autopilot can get out of the way. Which one is row? Yeah, I want row dock. I love this track. Ah. You don't know how satisfying it is. You really do not know how satisfying it is to just activate the RCS and not see this thing move at all. You do not know how satisfying that is. That's why I didn't want to touch this thing. because it's just got no drift, and this is at full power with the thrusters. I mean, part of it, I think, is because I've got it set up with independent systems for controlling yaw, roll. Basically, controlling attitude is one system, and then it's got a completely separate system for controlling translation. Oh, oh dear! I bonked the station. It's I didn't realize how close the tail was to that. It looked smaller. Objects in the rearview mirror may appear smaller than they actually are. Use caution when docking. This is what I don't like about the dorsal docking ports on Craft, is it makes it very, very hard to judge how far away you are from a station. Because I've got the independent systems, it can correct for attitude changes on its own while I'm still firing other thrusters. So if there's any torque in one of the thrusters, it can compensate using thrusters that weren't designed to impart any other forces onto the ship. They don't quite understand what communism was. They just think it was cool. Boop indeed. Okay, let's get this crew off here. So everybody is on board the ship. Good. We are good to undock. RCS active. I didn't want to do that. Station avoidance maneuver complete. Close the docking port. And now to calculate the landing. Display trajectory. This one needs to be shallow because I remember it doesn't like 21 degrees, 21 degrees. 21 degrees, set KSC. And that's the once around. And there we go. And actually, for good measure, I'm going to put this so it comes down closer to the mountains. Just because I remember that this flies a little bit flatter than I'd like it to. When it runs out of RCS fuel. And let's get some other music here for the descent. What do I have? Now that I've reorganized it and told it to rescan my computer so it gets rid of... Because it had basically every single sound clip from Deus Ex it had in a separate album. It was driving me nuts. Oh, this one should do. If I time it just right, it'll build beautifully. And if you can't hear it, don't worry. It's very, very quiet at the beginning. Two, one, ignition. I kind of nicknamed this track, by the way, in the back of my head as The Legend of Sarah. So I once listened to it one day while taking a walk, and I thought to myself, this is like the music that would play in the background when somebody explains who Sarah was. And that they haven't seen her in 10 years. It's sort of like the music that plays over the backstory montage. Orient for re-entry. Lights out. Switch mode to air combustion. 20-degree pitch up. Time to re-entry, 10 minutes. Nose is slightly heavy, but we're maintaining control. RCS system enabled. RCS cut out in 10 seconds. RCS systems are dry. The vehicle is now ballistic. We're off the glide slope. Recalculated trajectories putting us 200 kilometers out. Intakes active. Switching to prograde. Stand by before braking. Deploy. Manual control. Okay, as the track's title implies for this track, there's really no time for caution. Retract air brakes. Brace yourselves, kiddos. The G's are gonna build. Or not. What's the highest G-force we had? 2.7. Low 2.5. Final approach fix. Level nav. Light slope. Auto land. Approach speed set to 200, 150, and 60. We're a little high. We're coming in on the glide slope now. I'll take over roll control. What? What? Engines. Full power. Going to manual. Engines would not ignite. I set the final approach speed too low, that's why. And we are down. Whew. Well, that could have been worse. Got the crew back. Good night, hon. Sleep well. And thanks for watching.